Uh-oh. Is it that creepy room again? I could hear the eerie sound of wind and rain. Once again, I hazily regained consciousness on top of the bed. The finger that the witch had bitten off was attached to my hand. That's not to say that it was all an illusion, but my finger was now attached. After all, the pain and the teeth marks, as though a witch had bitten it, were still there. And yet the window, which I had supposedly smashed, had been fixed, as though it had never been broken in the first place. How can I escape from this creepy room? Why am I locked up in this eerie room all alone? I want to get out. I have to get out. Please let me out. The door was sealed with a firm chain. I could open it a crack, but only enough to peek out into the corridor at best. Even getting just a fist through it would probably be hard. The window wouldn't budge either. It was no better than a barred prison window. The bathroom didn't even have a window. The only thing that could get out of there was the water that flowed out if you turned on the tap. No matter what I do, I can't think of a way out of here. While shut up in a place like this, I truly am a prisoner. Unless someone comes from outside to save me, I won't be able to get out for all eternity. In that case, can't I just call for help? You already tried that. Yes, the tiny gap I can make in that door must exist so that I can call for help. But can I make the words come out? Earlier I tried to call out for help, but for some reason the words couldn't escape my mouth. Maybe I was just confused. I might have lost my voice in my haste and confusion. I'll open the door and make that crack appear one more time. The warm light of the hallway flowed in, making the darkness of the room stand out all the more. Though I couldn't hear any voices, I did feel something peaceful. I'm sure everyone is in the room at the other end of the hallway, chatting happily about something. If I can just call out, surely someone will come to save me. Holding back some indescribable fear, I tried yelling once more. But the result was the same. It was like trying to yell underwater. All I did was get out of breath, unable to call out in the slightest. Can't you just throw something, maybe? Even though I could say as much as I wanted, if I just grumbled to myself inside the room, whenever I tried to make my voice reach outside, I choked and was unable to say anything. I understand. My body isn't the only thing locked up in this eerie closed room. My voice is too. Thinking that I could use some other kind of sound to call for help, I tried opening and closing the door violently, making the chain rattle. It does sound as though it's clanking noisily, but it's surely no good. Even this sound is being locked inside this closed room. No matter how harsh a sound I make, I'm sure it'll be quieter than a leaf falling by the time it reaches the other end of the corridor. I tried using the hateful chain that sealed the door to make a sound to call for someone, but that only deepened my despair. This chain? That's insane. Just a second ago it was a stiff chain that looked like it might be used to seal a monster away, but at some point it had transformed into a normal chain lock. This changes everything. Now I can just undo it from the inside. I tried to undo it, but the chain wasn't long enough for that while the door was still open a crack, and I couldn't get it off. Obviously. Calm down. I gulped and calmly closed the door. Then when I saw that the chain had slackened enough, I touched it with my finger to make sure. When I was little, I hated chains because I could never get them undone right. However, that was a long time ago. Now I can undo something like this. Anyone could. It's easy. Just like this. I imagined the demon who had locked me in this room using this as a trap to give me hope, just to make me despair even more, but I pushed those thoughts aside for the time being. I undid the chain lock, and the chain dangled there right before my eyes. Now, there's no lock sealing this door. Please, don't torment me anymore. Just open normally. Slowly, the door opened. When I closed the door to undo the chain, the warm light from the hallway got cut off. If I open it again, what if that warm light is gone this time? I was even afraid of stuff like that. However, that was just me over-imagining things. Slowly, quickly, no, I guess this is normal for a door. As the door let out an annoying creak, the exit from this cursed closed room finally opened. I did it! I did it! Even my cry of joy was strangled, but that doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is that I can get out. I poked my head out and looked left and right down the corridor. The warm corridor. I could sense people having fun at the other end. Everyone's right there. Let's go, right now. At that moment, something cold and heartless crushed my throat. It was as though an iron loop had been fastened around my neck and pulled on hard from behind. No, not as though. Without my knowing, at some point, a thick metal collar had been fastened around my neck. When did this happen? When I turned around, it despaired even more. Out from the inner side of the door I had just opened, a thick chain had extended and attached itself to this collar I was wearing. I pulled on it, but it didn't even budge. When I shook it, the whole door creaked. What the hell? The chain that connected to my collar was attached to the inner side of the door. Yes, the same vanishing chain that had secured the door a short while ago had suddenly become a chain holding me in place. It's insane. It's insane, damn it, what's going on here? I pulled with all my strength, trying to tear the whole door off, but I already knew from repeated experiments that it wouldn't even budge. I'm sure this chain will disappear once I go back inside the room, but it'll never let me leave that room. Though it had apparently turned back into a normal chain lock, nothing had actually changed. The chain lock still bound me to that room. Tears flowing down my face, I pulled with all I had. It was completely useless. No matter what I did, I'd never tear it loose, and I wasn't even permitted to call out for help. I felt a confused anger at how the demon had mercilessly made me think that I had escaped for just an instant. But no matter how much I yelled, no voice came out, and no one on the other end of the corridor could hear me. Then I noticed an odd stain on the wall of the corridor. It wasn't a stain. They were letters traced out by a finger that had been covered in red paint. Huh? Those letters, which looked like they'd been drawn in blood, answered my biggest question. The chain lock must be set. You're allowed to unset it, but it must then be reset. Unless it is set, this exit of yours will be unusable. I instantly understood the meaning of that ominous message. Then I tried it out and understood completely. When I returned to the room and reset the chain lock, the collar around my neck disappeared. When I undid the chain lock again, that heavy feeling around my neck returned. In other words, I cannot leave this room while the chain lock is still unset. In that case, why don't I just set the chain while outside the room? Does this maybe just represent Battler trying to solve all the mysteries? Because this seems like it's now trying to solve the mystery of the closed rooms where the chain was set from the inside. I undid the chain one more time. The collar and chain appeared around my neck again. I stepped out into the corridor and closed the door behind me, leaving only the slightest of cracks. I stuck my hand through the crack, grabbed the dangling chain and tried to reset it somehow. Damn it. Even though it was so easy to do from the inside, why is it so hard to do from the outside? The gap needed to be wide if I wanted to manipulate the chain well. However, that made the chain too short to reach. To make the chain reach just a bit further, I'd have to close the door a little bit more. But if I do that, there won't even be enough of a gap to fit my hand in. Of course, that was perfectly natural. Chain locks are made to be used from the inside. They'd be completely pointless if I could set and unset them from the outside. That's why the length of the chain is specially chosen to prevent anyone from setting or unsetting it from the inside. Then can I use some kind of hard and thin tool? If the gap of the door is just a finger's width across, it's more than enough for the chain to reach. If I could just bend a wire hanger so that it fits through the crack, and work the chain with that. That's right, there's a closet just to the side of the door. Would there be some hangers in there? Found one. Oh, thank God. A single cheap-looking hanger, like one you might find in a laundry room, was hanging there. Really? I'm pretty sure that when I last looked a short while ago, nothing like this was in the closet. Who cares? Quickly, quickly. I twisted the wire hanger, bending the end with the tip around. I formed a loop at the end to grab at things with, making for a sort of burglar's tool. Kind of reminds me of Silent Hill 3 now. I then dashed out into the corridor again and closed the door almost as far as it would go. My wrist could never pass through this. However, if I close it this much, the chain should have extra length to spare, and this crack is large enough for me to stick the hanger through. Now it's just a matter of technique. If I keep trying, I'll definitely be able to do it eventually, I'm certain of it. It's harder than it looks, but the chain is long enough. It isn't impossible. I had finally gotten my hands on the one way to escape. It was hard, yes, but it was theoretically possible. If it's possible, I'll be able to get out. I'll be able to escape from here. Or not. At that moment, I felt a heavy weight on the far side of the door. It felt as though someone inside the room had pressed their forehead against the door and was drawing closer, and she, the witch, had laughed. Then I felt a powerful and strange force on the wire hanger. Is she trying to grab it away from me? Yeah, right, like hell I let it go. Like hell I let my one key out of here get stolen while my guard's down. Fortunately, I'd stuck my wrist through it so that I wouldn't drop it if my hand got tired. You won't be able to snatch this out of my hands. The witch on the other side of the door laughed at me. Then I noticed something weird. I looked at my left hand, which I had pressed against the door to hold it in place, and between the fingers of that hand, I could see something red. They were red letters. I realized immediately. At some point in time, even more bloody letters had been drawn on the door, and my left hand had been covering them up. Still fighting against the vice-like strength of the witch beyond the door, I moved my left hand to the side. Where that hand had been, bloody letters had indeed been drawn, and there, as though someone had predicted that I'd struggle this way from the very beginning, was a message from the witch to me. It is impossible to set or unset the chain lock from the outside by any means. All tricks done from the corridor had been sealed by the red letters. No way. There was suddenly a terrible sound, and the force pulling on the hanger was suddenly released. Then when I pulled it out and looked, I lost all hope. As though it had been hit by the acid of the room's darkness, the tip of the hanger end burned and bubbled and melted off. Now it's pitifully short. This can't be used for anything. It would be useless to search for a substitute. All schemes to set the chain from the outside have been prevented. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it! I threw the remnants of the wire hanger against the floor, faced the hallway filled with a warm light, and called for help. However, I just choked, unable to speak at all. Everyone's just down the corridor, and everything's peaceful there. I can't hear their voices, but I know. I'm sure they're all having a good time playing cards. Please, someone notice. Someone save me. This time it wasn't the witch's voice. It was the happy voices of everyone else, which I could hear coming from the other end of the hallway. Someone come over here and save me. Sorry, but I'm out. George slammed his last card down, ending the game with his victory once again. Everyone gasped in unison. The cousin room was filled with laughter as they enjoyed their card game. Whoa, so you really did have it, George Aniki. Damn you, six of spades! Ah, my arch enemy! My nemesis of former life! Sorry. Your 8 of diamonds was pretty nasty too, Balor. I was so close. You're incredible, George Oni-chan. You won again. Yep, looks like we've won again. Maria couldn't really hold her own in an all-out battle. Especially if we're talking about a real battle, I would assume. So she had teamed up with George, which was why she was celebrating his victory. Utter defeat. Kanon winced and let his cards drop to the table. The game of sevens between Kanon and the cousins had been a fierce battle. Normally they would take things easy since Maria was there, so this sort of game was rare. Kanon had started taking the game seriously, unwilling to lose, so George and Balor had responded and the battle had grown fierce. Maria versus Nobunaga. I'm pretty sure that will be over very quickly. And it would not be pretty. Unlike Balor, who was carefree enough to enjoy it whether he won or lost, Kanon's mood changed drastically with every victory and defeat. It was less of a dislike for losing and more that he just wasn't used to playing. He wasn't used to trading a few wins and losses with his opponents, so he took even losses within a game seriously. Relax, dude. Relax. Since he had resolved to win, and had unfortunately challenged the veteran players George and Balor, The result was plain to see. As Kanon slumped his shoulders, Jessica slapped him in the on the back. Not in the face. Hey, you almost had it. How dare you lose? I love fighting all out like this. Whether you go all out or not, if you just lose in the end, it's all pointless. No, it's not. It's not even about that. It's about having fun. I can't even count the numerous days and evenings of fun I had with playing GoldenEye in multiplayer mode on the N64, and it never was about winning all the time. I lost plenty. Who cares? It's not true. If you really gave it your all, there's no reason to get all depressed when you lose. Man, I want to play some GoldenEye multiplayer again. If you lost after hardly trying, then you'd be grumbling and complaining about how you would have won if you'd taken it seriously, right? That's right. People who really give it their all never complain. They're always cheery no matter what the result is. You're right. And they can be scarier than anyone else. They always learn something from their experience and grow. Very true. I was a coward, so I could never learn anything. I see that I am still immature. He must be fun at parties. I am furniture, so any dreams I might have are pointless. Because he'd rigidly believed that, he distanced himself from everything, shutting himself away. However, during that same time, Shannon had undergone many life adventures, and now her hand was resting on the door, separating furniture and humans. The old Kanon would only have seen this card game as a way to pass the time. However, the new Kanon was now capable of gaining something new from this experience. That's probably what it means to grow. Furniture is nothing but rot with the passage of time. The ability to grow is a privilege given only to humans. And plants. And animals. Thanks for playing with us. You probably had work to do, like filling in the log, right? I'm really glad you decided to hang out with us. Don't worry about it. And light bulbs? How do light bulbs... I mean, if you pronounce the... Just... I get it. Don't worry about it. I had a lot of fun too. Oh wait, is he smiling? Can we call the New York Times? We have some breaking news to report. Kanon is smiling. That's at least one article worth. I had a lot of fun too. Or should I say that I've realized that this sort of thing is fun. Is he okay? Thanks for pushing so hard for me to come. Thanks for pushing so hard for me to come. That's a sentence you never want to say out of context. Let's challenge ourselves more and more. And let's go and find more and more things you didn't know about. But, by the way, about what we were talking about earlier. Ever wanted to try playing guitar? Well, I don't want to force you or anything, but it must be very difficult. Yeah, I guess. I still find this, crazy face of Jessica kind of funny. In a charming way. But I'll do a good job teaching you, and I'll even practice with you. Well, I guess I'm not that much of an expert myself. At first, Kanon was scared that he might make a complete fool of himself if he touched a musical instrument for the first time in his life. After all, he knew that screwing up like that would make him feel bad. However, Kanon was starting to learn. It's only natural that I'll be bad when I first start. If I try to run away from it, I'll never learn a thing for all eternity. I'll never achieve anything. That's right. Isn't that why people love it when they feel themselves improving? Even I sucked at making my left and right hands move at the same time when I first started, but I slowly got the knack of it and it started to feel more and more natural. I'd like to reach that level too. If one path to that goal is playing music with you, milady, I would love to do that with you. But really? Yes, I'm sure I'll be horrible when I start and I might even make you lose hope in me at times. But if I've given it my all, even messing up is no big deal. See, he learned something from the game already. That's what I learned from you all just now. You're embarrassing me. I love you more than ever, milady. Because I averted my eyes for so long, even though you shone like the sun, I never noticed you when you were right there next to me. then I'd better work even harder to make you love me even more. Kanon's serious and competitive words were more than enough to make Jessica shy. However, Kanon's expression unexpectedly clouded. "Milady, the reason I love you is so clear. Because of that, I can't bear not knowing." Not knowing what? Why did you start to like me? And like you, I don't shine in any sense. Even now, I'm just clinging to your back as you shine the way. I can't think of any reason why you would love someone as shabby as me. Yeah. That's not true, okay? There are all kinds of good things about you, Kanon-kun. Let me swallow my pride and ask, what about me made you like me, milady? Kanon hung his head. Since he had never learned anything on his own, he had never been able to take the initiative with her in any way. The fact that he was accepting her affection one-sidedly, unable to do anything but simply receive it, made him sad and frustrated at himself. Jessica was lost for words. After all, compared to the reason that Kanon had started to love Jessica, Jessica's reason was a lot more vague. She had heard Shannon talking about her love with George, and at school she and her friends had always talked about relationships with boys. There would have been nothing strange about a girl fascinated by the idea of romance developing an interest in a nearby member of the opposite sex. However, if you put that into words, it might be misinterpreted to mean that any nearby boy would have done just as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you say it like that, he will probably, being the negative guy that he is, probably immediately interpret it that way. However, she could still be proud of the feelings she felt at this very instant. She really did love Kanon, and she truly wanted to experience romance. As a result, they might end up together or they might not. However, if she reached that result without holding back, she could accept it no matter which it was. That's why she was able to become serious and honest about how she felt. However, she couldn't find the right words to tell Kanon this. When Kanon saw Jessica bite her lower lip in frustration, he finally realized, I'm such a fool. Huh? What about me do you like? That very question is foolish. It's proof that I'm not serious about myself, and that I haven't been able to understand even myself. It's horrible of me to try and make you say it for me. That's not true. After all, it's the first question any girl would like to ask after being given a love confession. What part of me do you like? It was immature of me to ask you that. How could anyone love someone so immature? Wait, that's not... Jessica panicked, trying desperately to explain how she felt. However, Kanon was calm. And then he spoke. In that case, I want you to love me the way I already love you. I've decided to start changing myself so that can happen. I can hardly imagine that you would love me as I am, but someday, no matter what. Yeah, I'm absolutely sure you'll become a wonderful person, Kanon-kun. A guy so cool that I can't keep my eyes off you. Until then, I'll stick by you all the way. We have plenty of time. But unfortunately, there isn't that much time left. What do you mean? It usually saddens you when I talk about furniture. However, this is something I must tell you. And it is also something I must fight for with all my soul. What are you talking about? I don't want to hear any more of that I'm furniture so I can't fall in love talk. You're a human, not furniture. Yes. I would like to become human. However, I am still furniture. In that case, just do it. Become human. The witch taught me once about the single element of this world. According to her, it's love. It's something that humans born into this world can take for granted. However, it is not something that those not from this world, who were born as furniture, can take for granted. In other words, in order to gain it for themselves, they must have magic or a miracle. In just the same way that Nissan and George Summer would never have ended up as they have without borrowing the power of that golden butterfly brooch. I don't really get that last part. What don't you understand? Let me hear it. Well, since this game began, a large portion of the time has been spent on Shannon and Connor's determination to fall in love. I've got no problem interpreting that as a story of growth and teenage determination for a girl and boy who call themselves furniture, but one of the assumptions they make feels really out of place to me. Why is magic necessary? Is that it? Both Shannon and Kanon call themselves furniture. They've always claimed that there can be love between furniture and humans. At that point, the magic of the golden butterfly brooch comes into play, and as the miraculous result of its magic, love is established between Shannon and George Onichan. That's what they claim. Might it mean merely that forbidden love between people of different classes would be unmanageable without a miracle of magic? True. I can accept that Shannon and Kanon, who were servants in forbidden love with members of the family and suffering for it, might debase themselves by calling themselves furniture. Then what is it that you cannot accept? Without borrowing the power of magic once more, marriage will be impossible? That seems to be a common understanding between Shannon and Kanon. I just can't understand that part. After meeting in secret for quite some time, George and Shannon had finally gotten engaged. Both were fully prepared for it emotionally, and though there would be some trouble with the relatives, it would probably be impossible for anyone to prevent their marriage by this point. Trying to stand between two who wish to be wed is as foolish as standing in front of an arrow and trying to catch it. Unlike your Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid 3, and you catch it with your head. Zimon will know what I'm talking about. Exactly, now that George Onichan has sworn to protect his lover for the rest of their lives, he has no need to fear opposition to disinheritance from his parents. On the contrary, you might even consider that a perfect test of his love for her. In other words, they will be married no matter what. No one can stop them, and they've both consented to the engagement. No one can stop them or impede them. Trying to break apart lovers is a foolhardy venture. Yeah, and that's what's strange. There's no need for magic. If George and Shannon had wanted Eva's approval for their engagement, then magic might really have been necessary. After all, Eva had forbidden his relationship with her. No matter how much George spoke on Shannon's behalf, the chances of Eva being convinced were very near zero. If that were the case, it would be understandable if they'd wanted a magical miracle to make Eva acknowledge that engagement. However, George Onichan has already made an oath. He doesn't care whether his parents approve of the engagement or not. Yeah, there's nothing standing in the way of their engagement. And Shannon should know that well herself. So why is it now, on this night where the proposal went so smoothly, she's still praying for a miracle of magic? According to the furniture, she won't even have the right to marry without such a miracle. Oh, that was still Angie. According to the furniture, she won't even have the right to marry without such a miracle. And there you go, it means that Shannon has accepted George's proposal, but she knows that there's still some kind of barrier that can't be overcome without a magical miracle, and that barrier isn't something that they can overcome by their own efforts. That's why they need this miracle called magic. Why do they need magic? If two people love each other, what other miracle could they possibly need to be together? I see. Betharine listened to Angie's interpretation, smiling in a satisfied way. Apparently she had already reached that conclusion and enjoyed watching Angie finally manage to do the same. And that same question applies to Kanon as well. The love between him and Jessica Onichan has just begun, but their emotions are pure. There's nothing standing in their way. They're already in a loving relationship even without the golden butterfly brooch. The relationship they've started might easily last for years, eventually resulting in marriage. There's nothing standing in their way either. As long as they don't seek approval from Klaus and Natsuhi, it seems that they will not need a magical miracle either. Exactly, Kanon watched how Shannon lived and changed his own way of life. Then he let his true feelings be known and started a relationship with Jessica Onichan. There's no need for magic anymore. If it were one-sided love, then he might need a love charm or something, but their feelings are already mutual. They've already communicated their intentions to one another, so why do they still need a magical miracle? Both furniture were in relationships of mutual love. There shouldn't have been any need for a miracle any longer, so why do they still desire some miracle? And on top of that, the single brooch was portrayed as bestowing only a single miracle. It felt almost as though Shannon was hesitating because if she used up that miracle for herself, Kanon's chances at love would be automatically sealed away for eternity. So this is the question. Why is furniture not allowed to love? So you ask why love will not be permitted without the miracle known as magic. And also, though the furniture laments with such certainty that they're unable to love, this golden butterfly brooch is supposed to give them permission to do it. Just what on earth is it? Of course, it is a crystallization of magic. However, like most magics, it can be burned by the anti-magic toxin. So it can only have an effect for those who believe in magic and witches. Correct. So Shannon, who was capable of interacting with me, was able to make use of its benefits. However, Shannon had dropped it on a sandy beach, and someone who knew nothing picked it up. If that person was shrouded in the anti-magic toxin, they wouldn't be able to make use of the brooch's magic power. Precisely. A witch's magical items often lose their power if they are not handed over directly. However, just as how a witch can manifest herself if her existence is acknowledged by a great many humans and the anti-magic toxin disappears, the power of that magical item can also be preserved if it is believed in by a great many humans. That's ironic. No matter what kind of magic we witches give out, everything depends on whether the human we give it to can accept it. I have heard that the same goes for medicine. Even with the exact same medicine, humans who know of the medicine's effect experience it to a greater degree. Oh, I think I understand. When taking cold medicine, I've gotten the feeling that it's more effective when you read the description on the bottle. Yeah, unless you read the whole side effects, and then you rather feel like they're gonna kick in, so I never read them. As she listened, Beato thought that magic sounded a bit like a ritual. When most humans think of magic, they think of incredible miracles being performed one after another in front of a crowd of other humans. However, this true magic that the older sister spoke of sounded almost like a ritual, something that has no effect if the person using it doesn't believe. Shannon's heart was captured by George bit by bit as he grew by leaps and bounds. However, since she had given up, thinking that one of a different class, such as herself, would never find love with him. However, she had given up, thinking that one of her different classes herself would never find. Okay. That was when Beatrice had given her the golden butterfly brooch and encouraged her. Giving up means that you've got zero chance of success. However, if the power of magic makes you think there might be some chance of your wish coming true, then the odds of it happening are at least greater than the zero. Zero remains zero forever, so miracle is a fitting word to describe even a faint chance coming into existence. Human can use magic to defeat resignation, the process by which they themselves make their probability of success zero. When a human refuses to give up, though their chances of success may be small, those chances do exist. And the more determined they become, the greater those odds rise. It was easy to imagine Shannon making earnest wishes upon that brooch, believing in its effect, and trying little things over and over again to get George to like her. The power of belief becomes magic, and those who make others believe are witches. Those who make others believe are witches. That's an interesting way to put it. If you think about it, it's true. Let's say a witch steps out into the spotlight, waves her staff in front of a crowd of onlookers, and makes a rabbit appear out of thin air. The many people who see it will surely assume it to be a sleight of hand. They might wonder at how it was accomplished, but they'll surely say that it couldn't have been real magic, and when they applaud, it will be for a splendid trick that only appeared to be magic. But what if someone performed a sacred ceremony inside a great ancient temple in front of a crowd of believers and ended up with the exact same result? Would any of the people there think it was a sleight of hand? In fact, in the ancient past, when magic tricks as a form of entertainment didn't even exist and divine spirits were worshipped, this would doubtlessly have been a miracle of magic. In that case, could this here be magic? Aha. Well now, what will be the first spell performed by the witch unable to use magic? Here, I have an empty teacup. There's nothing inside it. Yes, it is empty. And then you take it, turn it like this, and place it upside down on the table. And then, what next? Let's both close our eyes and chant the incantation. Oh, I've heard that before. It was the same magic that had been used to give Maria candies. Beato the elder grinned and closed her eyes. When she saw this, Beato slowly chanted the incantation. Come try to remember what was inside the cup. Indeed. Come try to remember what was inside the cup. As she chanted, Beato slowly opened her eyes and made sure that the older sister was repeating her with her eyes closed. Then a single gold butterfly appeared out of nowhere, fluttered down onto the overturned cup, and scattered away in a golden splash. May I open my eyes now? Yes. Please open your eyes and inspect the contents of the cup. Well now, let us see how well your first bit of magic has performed. Taking her time and dragging out the suspense a little, the older sister lifted up the cup. Uh-huh. How is it? When the cup was lifted up, there lay a single golden rose petal. Does this count as magic? Yes, it does. You used magic to create a golden flower petal inside an overturned cup. It was a splendid bit of magic. Without love, it cannot be seen. That much I understand. It may be viewed as a trick. It may also be believed to be magic. It all depends upon the toxin of the individual. Then again, while this can explain some of the magic that's been used in the past, it can't explain everything. To get back to the point, all this stuff about believing in magic and rituals, it doesn't answer the question, what was this golden butterfly brooch which allowed the furniture who strongly believed that they could not love to finally find love? If we blindly accept the story of those two Beatos as true, might we assume that magic had the power to cancel out their feelings of resignation? Why mustn't furniture fall in love? Why is the power of the magic brooch necessary? Yes, it does seem at a glance as though what you and the Beatos are saying provides an answer, though a vague one. However, let me say this as a reader. I can't accept this as you've presented it. You cannot accept it, you say. The tragedy those furniture are struggling to resist is way too big to be explained away by that. I doubt they could reform their way of thinking just because they were given some charm from making relationships. It's true that the brooch gave Shannon the chance she needed to get together with George Onicham, but sometime after that she said she wanted to deepen their relationship without borrowing the power of magic, and she even tried to give the brooch back to Beato. At that point she supposedly rejected the miracle of magic for a time. So why would that power be necessary again? Well now, perhaps there is no way to say it except that love and marriage are very different things. Featherine laughed lightly. She had probably formed a theory of her own and was laughing at Angie, who hadn't reached it yet. Let me hear it. What's your view? I'd like to keep that to myself for just a while longer. And of course, watching you form doubts and let your mind race is one of the joys of being read aloud to. If I gave you my views, you would accept them and stop thinking. Then having you read aloud would be no fun. So you're having me read a mystery novel you already know the answer to, just so you can enjoy watching me blunder about. Well, I am the witch of the aRdW. If you wish to laugh at my bad taste, please do not hold back, my Miko. Kangeki. I understand that part of magic is created by a believing heart, and that magic probably permeates deep into the world of us humans as well. However, though it permeates so far, the power that dwells within magic is small. Lots of people visit shrines to pray for success on tests. However, people rarely credit such a visit as the reason for their success. By itself, praying does little more than give one peace of mind. In love, where even a small chance at a little bit of courage can result in major changes, this power can sometimes bring about incredible transformations. However, would something like that really be enough to change the insurmountable fate of furniture? In the past, when Shannon and George were brought together, I imagine that the brooch's magical power functioned as little more than a ritualistic charm. However, by now, the magical power that the furniture seek from that brooch, it's not something as vague as a ritual. It feels much stronger, like a whole different interpretation of magic. If you believe in a sleight of hand, it becomes magic, but that's no more than a child's trick. And that only explains one part of magic. They are hoping for something. They are hoping for something with much, much more power, for true magic, not a sleight of hand. So then... Oh. No. Let me go back. Just what kind of magic is the furniture expecting from that brooch? A golden butterfly brooch? There exists a magic charm that the golden witch Beatrice gave to Shannon in exchange for smashing a mirror, and which made her love bear fruit. That's what this is. From his pocket, Kanon pulled a single wing from a gold butterfly. Though it was a single wing, it was easy to tell from its shape that it had originally been part of something with a butterfly motive. The magic of this brooch gave Shannon the chance she needed to start a relationship with George Summer. However, before that magic was fully realized, she left it to me. So thanks to the power of this brooch, I gained your affection, milady. That's not true. I started liking you because of my own honest feelings. Thank you very much. You are human, so you do not believe in witches or magic. It's only natural. However, as furniture created by magic, my very existence here is proof that the miracle of magic exists. Sorry, what are you talking about? Oh, brooch, okay. Jessica tried to make sense of Kanon's words. However, she couldn't understand and had to ask him to repeat it, wearing a stiff smile. True, I have heard brooch, but never brooch. Both Shannon and I need magic to succeed in love. The key for that is this brooch. I stepped on it and crushed it. So we each have one part now. The brooch had lost its power when it was split in half. However, it was ever joined together again, its magic would be revived. It would revive the miraculous power that could join furniture and a human together. However, a single brooch can only grant one person's wish. Only one of his furniture can be joined by the single brooch. That was the final seed of love, a spark of love, which the old shrilly laughing Beatrice had sown. The old Beatrice had said that humans tormented by the spark were like ripe fruit, which she cruelly used for her own enjoyment. However, the magic infused with this seed was real. It was the only crystallization of magic that the golden witch Beatrice ever left in this world. Its glint increased. What the? It's okay, but please don't look right at it. It'll blind you. Ah, my eyes! Ah! The glint grew even stronger, shining like the sun. Even without Karan's warning, Jessica wouldn't have been able to stop herself from covering her eyes with her hands. As the light grew stronger, a sound like the roar of the wind or the tide also grew in intensity. The sound of the wind and rain outside had already been overwhelmed. Jessica could no longer even stand, and she crouched on the floor, a flood of sound and light. Until it withdrew, Jessica could do nothing but moan. Okay.
Come on, it's okay now, let's hurry.
I hope Father likes sweet foods.
Oh yes, he does like them. In fact, he seems to enjoy eating pretty much anything. Ho ho ho.
After waiting for the master of the room to be out, Beato and Kumasawa entered the study. Then they quickly cleaned up the books on the desk, set down the basket they had brought there, and opened it up. Inside were several cute cookies cut out in a butterfly shape. They set out a pretty plate and neatly arranged the cookies on it. It was the kind of subtle, conscientious touch that the recipient wasn't likely to even notice. The whole arrangement was filled with that sort of feeling. I see you spare no efforts for the sake of your beloved father. This is the most I'm allowed to do right now. To think that I would give Bella cookies. Why should I, the ruler of the night, do so much for a guest who comes so rarely? Then the study door swung violently open. It was Battler with Genji by his side. Battler's eyes went wide for a second when he saw Beato there, but his expression quickly went blank again. What are you doing here?
Father, please excuse me. I didn't come here to get in the way of your important game.
How were you able to get in here? Wasn't this room locked?
My apologies. They wanted to surprise you with a gift, so I lent them the key.
See, have a look. Beatrice-sama baked these cookies with all her soul, hoping that you would enjoy them.
Kumasawa-san and Genji-san taught me how. I never knew Genji-san was so good at baking cookies.
Well, he is Renov, isn't he?
Ho ho ho, he hasn't done it much of late, but long ago Genji-san cooked all sorts of things. He was especially good with sweets.
Cookies?
Yes, it's a gift for you, Father. I sincerely pray for your victory in this important match.
Bella looked at the plate on the study desk that was piled up with beautiful cookies and the message card of encouragement lying next to it, and his face twisted with a complex expression which might have been one of sadness and might have been one of hatred.
Master.
Genji urged him to consider saying some words of gratitude to Beato. Bella understood. Anyone would be pleased to receive an act of kindness like this. Even though he understood it logically, he couldn't help but give a small, exasperated sigh. Thank you, I'm very grateful. However, I don't like sweets. Please take it away.
Master.
Don't make me say the same thing again. Clean it up and take it away.
Master, couldn't you just try one bite? Beatrice-sama worked hard to make them for your sake.
I appreciate the sentiment. I'm in the middle of a vital game right now. This is the final game, and it's vital both for me and Beato as well. So please, don't mess with my heart any more than is necessary.
That's just too sad for her. I'm glad that you're grateful for her feelings, but can't you show it by taking just one little bite?
Father.
Beato looked at Battler sadly. Battler hung his head to avoid her gaze. The expression on his face caused Beato more pain than any he had shown her before.
Kumasawa, please clean this up and take it away.
Master!
Kumasawa clung to Battler, but he turned his back to her.
My apologies. Let's clean this up, Kumasawa-san.
I won't allow it. By making this gift, Beatrice-sama gave it her all to try and support you in the only way she could. To tell her to take it away without eating a bite yourself. How can you travel with a woman so?
Kumasawa.
If you call yourself a man, you should at least try a bite when a woman makes you a handmade snack. If you truly intend to crush a woman's feelings like this, I, Kumasawa, will not back down even if it kills me. No, I won't.
Kumasawa-san, you've done enough for me already.
I won't allow it, Master. Do you think they're poison or something?
Yeah. If Beato ever came to give me cookies, of course I'd figure that she put some kind of crazy poison in that. And she's asking me if I think there's poison in these? Who would expect that cookies piled up in such a neat and cute way could possibly have something bizarre hidden inside them? And anyway, who could possibly imagine Beato making something like this? Because of that, Battler couldn't bear to look at Beato's innocent reaction, which was completely free from any malicious thoughts, like slipping poison into cookies. Beato quietly started to clean up. Every now and then she sniffled. Man, do I feel bad for her now. Kumasawa continued to glare at Battler, but she then gave a small sigh and helped Beato clean up. However, the hardness didn't disappear from her expression.
My apologies, Father.
It's the cookie delivery guy.
Please excuse me.
Don't call me that. Don't call me father. Beato never called me that.
Yes, as you wish. My apologies.
Fatler. Hanging her head so low that her chin touched her chest, Beato hurried out of the study. After giving Battler a look, Kumasawa chased after her. Kumasawa threw the door open a bit violently, and the footsteps of the pair rapidly disappeared off into the distance. Poor newborn Beato. I may be his little sister, but I'm not sure how I feel about that.
If she were anyone other than Beato, you'd think of him as a true enemy of women, is that it?
I don't have a clue why Onichan and Beato act so friendly together. Right now I think of Beato as our greatest enemy, the one we must defeat. Still, even so, as a woman, I can't say I like how Onichan's treating her.
And yet I can understand Battler's feelings a little too. What a sad state of affairs.
I still don't understand what kind of antagonism or connection that was between them. However, Onichan probably viewed Beato as a friendly rival, or if not something more. Onichan's reason for defeating Beato isn't to destroy an enemy out of hatred. It feels like he wants to give a sincere answer to her questions. Yes, I can't deny the fact that their fight isn't based on hatred, but on a stronger emotion. And on top of that, Beato really is something to remain dedicated to Onichan, all the more even after being treated so coldly. I agree with the other, older sister Beatrice. I can't understand why she's so dedicated to Onichan.
And though it will only happen after changing over 1,000 years, that single factor that you don't understand will certainly be inherited by the Golden Witch Beatrice we know so well.
Yeah, I understand that. Learning about this Beato will eventually teach us something about that Beato, and that may be able to explain the greatest piece in this crazy game, if not the game board itself.
Such a mysterious witch.
Though she said those words, Featherine wore a confident smile on her face. Her sarcastic confidence, as though she already knew the answer, was unchanged. Beatrice, I want to ask you something.
Yes, what would you like to know, Angie-san?
When Angie asked her a question, Beato, who had been reading a fragment book in the shadows of the library, jumped.
Why do you call Oshidomiya Battler father? Because he created the piece that I am.
In that case, why are you so dedicated to Oshidomiya Battler? Is there some rule that pieces must obey the creator that makes them?
There is no such rule. A piece is like a tool or perhaps a knife. When used skillfully by the game master, they can be quite useful. However, if you use them incorrectly, they can hurt you as well.
Whether the tool is used as a tool or a weapon, that has nothing to do with the tool's own will. It is merely the result. In that case, why are you so dedicated to Onichan? It's almost as though that's your goal as a piece.
Yes, that is the goal that gave birth to me.
Did Onichan, the one who gave birth to you, give you that goal?
That's not it. As the game master, Battler merely set a piece with that role on the board. Also, the one who gave birth to this piece was the first game master and the one who created this game, Beatrice herself.
This is getting confusing. In other words, you keep calling Onichan father, but he's not actually your father. You're just calling him that affectionately because you feel obligated to devote yourself to him.
Yes, I think that's true. Father was the one who placed me on the game board. If he hadn't, my piece would never have had a turn. So the fact I exist here right now and am able to devote myself to my goal is all thanks to Father.
I see. So that's why it makes sense for you to call him father. In that case, who told you to devote yourself to Onichan? That must have been the first game master, Beato herself. This is so confusing.
You wish to ask her why she must devote herself to Ushidumi Battler, correct? However, she cannot give you that answer. She was given nothing but the goal itself. Only the person who gave her that goal knows the reasons for which they did so.
I see. Consider that as well, child of man, right? So that it means you already have an idea and you're laughing at my confusion.
You really are just perfect for my Miko. I will do anything for Father. My existence will bring Father happiness. That is my greatest pleasure. And
at that point, Beato hesitated. And what?
Yes. And if I could one day have Father acknowledge my efforts, it would be my greatest joy.
What the hell? If you only wanted to devote yourself to him, I'd say you're just another furniture of the witch. But you want him to acknowledge your efforts? That's less like furniture and more like... Angie stopped mid-sentence. That's less like furniture and more like you're just a girl who loves Onichan. I don't get it. The driving force behind this Beato is that of a girl who adores Onichan. But then what does that make her? If the first Beato liked Onichan, then she should have adored him and not... She should have adored him and devoted herself to him directly. Why would she create a piece of herself, a separate entity to do it? As it stands, even if she does attract Onichan's attention, it will be towards the piece version of herself, not the creator who made that piece. If I ever like someone, I'll probably want to do things for them. But of course I'd want to do those things myself. After all, I would want him to notice me. It's a love that will always go unrewarded, no matter how devoted she is, and she's doing this out of her own free will. Beato's actions look no different from those of an average girl in love. She's devotedly doing all she can for him, dreaming that her kindness will eventually be acknowledged. Why would Beato create a piece like this? Maybe putting it in romantic terms is a bit too confusing. Let's try using food as an example. This would be as pointless as creating a piece to eat food for you. No matter how much food your piece eats on your behalf, you won't get any less hungry, right? You're the one who wants to eat. There's no reason to have a piece do that in your place. For most jobs in this world, you can get someone else to do it for you. However, with love and food alone, there can never be any point to letting another person do it in your place.
That's right. This Beato was created as a piece because of an impossible reason. Though at a glance, she looks like just a normal girl. The more I know about her, the less I understand, like she's an imaginary number. Father hates it when I call him Father. And the me that Father desires didn't call him by that name either.
Right. The former use spoke to everyone without even using honorifics.
However, simply possessing that knowledge doesn't mean I can refer to Father quite that informally. I'd like to give it my all and start by calling him Battler-san.
I'm surprised you haven't gotten discouraged after being treated so coldly.
No, Battler-san is in the middle of an important game right now. His opponent is the formidable Lady Erika, piece of the great Lady Bernkastel. It's no surprise that he was in a bad mood when I stepped in at a delicate moment in his game, just as it was starting to reach a critical point, and called him by that name he doesn't want to hear.
Apparently Beato still wanted to devote herself to Bella, even after being treated in such a cold manner. Though to an outsider, it might just look as though she's being snubbed, it doesn't faze her at all. It truly is the blindness of a girl in love. Or is it that I can't see because I have no love?
At times, love does let you see the unseeable.
Beato once again immersed herself in the fragment book that the former Beato had written. She was trying to find something about the Beato that Bella desired. Angie shrugged as though saying, well, I don't get it. Featherine laughed when she saw this, hinting that an innocent young woman could never understand. Angie grumbled something back unhappily. The exchange seemed to have had no effect whatsoever on Beato as she sat in the shadows of the library. After chasing all the others out, only Battler remained in the study. There was no color in this dimly lit room. However, for just the short time that the plate of cookies had been placed there, the room had seemed at least a little cheery. Bettler's gaze drifted over to the table, which no longer had anything on it. When he did, the cookie plate that had been there until a second ago was revived. However, it was an illusion. Though the cookies could be looked at, they could not be touched, much less eaten. If Bettler wished, he could make it possible to touch them or eat them, but it would be an empty sensation. It would only give the touch and taste that Bettler desired. He no longer had any way of knowing what kind of cookies they had been. On the reception sofa across from Bettler, a cloud of gold butterflies slowly gathered and took the form of the old Beato.
Come on, have a bite. It's not every day that I make these by hand. Have no fear, I'm confident in how well they've turned out.
Hearing that from a lady makes them all the more dubious.
Seriously, any cookies you made would obviously have some kind of strange poison in them.
How shocking that you should think so. Even if I did put something in it, it'd be no worse than the kind that does this, and that to your other thing. If you do that sort of thing all the time, Bettler will never agree to eat them.
Huh? Putting things in someone's food is pretty basic, isn't it? Fingernails, bits of hair, magic charms, fragments of love. What will you people put in?
Yes, ma'am. I wouldn't put anything in them. I just eat them all myself.
Obviously, do you have to be so predictable?
Well, they say a girl's gotta grab by all 3 sacks.
What?
The first one's the stomach, right? Next comes the wallet, and what was the third one again?
If I could catch a guy's attention, I'd want to make him sacrifice his body, heart, and soul to me. That's why I pour all my power and affection to my cooking.
In any event, making someone eat your food is probably a frontal attack that's gone unchanged throughout the ages. Ridiculous. How pathetic to think that you couldn't grasp a single man's heart without relying on such simple tricks. Oh? Are you saying you've succeeded in grasping a man's heart, Oni-sama? Battler, there's nothing weird in it, so have a bite. Don't think you'll ever get a chance to eat my handmade cookies again.
There probably won't be another chance. I slowly stretched my hand out to the illusion of the cookie plate and touched it. Just before I did, it became a cloud of gold butterflies and vanished into the darkness of the study. The illusions of Renove and Vigilia also disappeared. However, the illusion of Beato alone still remained on the sofa.
Is there something not to your liking?
Are you trying to force me to say it out loud?
The more the new me differs from the form you wished for, the more you're reminded that I can never be revived again, correct? If you let a good woman get away, you never get a second chance. So only now you've finally realized what a good woman I was.
Shut up. If you never appear again, that'd be a relief. Beato lay sprawled on the sofa and looked up at the ceiling. Bettler also turned his back and moved to the window. For a while there was silence. I imagine you understand, but I do understand.
The me you were expecting has already disappeared.
I know. Even though that Beato is you without a doubt, she's a different being than the old you. And I can say with certainty that you'll never revive again.
My soul, femininity, sparkling personality, and splendid character were cultivated over 1,000 years spent as a witch, and as an exactly identical 1,000 years is traversed, nothing can become me. And so, at the moment you decided to create me, my personal history was different.
Yeah, that damn Bernkastel has already guaranteed that you'll never revive.
However, you still hope for it, don't you? One day the new me will trip and land on her head, and all her memories of the past will be restored. You were hoping for something like that, weren't you? A delusional plot like that wouldn't even pass in a light novel these days.
Shut up. In the past you waited and waited for me to remember and take notice. Then what is it? Does this mean that our relationship is exactly the opposite of how it once was? Well, at times I did continue the game believing that you would eventually notice and remember that a miracle would occur. How did it feel? How did it feel when you were playing with me?
As they say, look inside your own heart.
It hurts. If only she didn't look so much like you, I would have kept my cool a little better.
Well, do as you wish. In the past I toyed with you and tormented you. Now's your chance for revenge against me. The new me will just wander about nervously, ignorant of everything. You may boil or burn her as you see fit. Perhaps doing so will ease your old hatred.
I would if it was you. It would probably make me feel a lot better. But that Beato isn't you.
If it isn't me, who is it?
It's someone very much like you, but not you.
But even so, she most certainly is me.
True, she is you, and at the same time, she's a different person.
In that case, the new me really has it rough. She's being treated like a plaything in my place. How truly pitiable.
That might be the contradiction inside me. The new Beato seems like a different person, so I can't accept her. Even though I know she's a different person, she keeps reminding me of Beato's face.
In that case, why not think of her as my daughter?
Your daughter?
She does share my blood, so consider her a daughter that closely resembles me. After all, she is my double, but hasn't lived 1,000 years, so calling her that is not incongruous.
True.
Imagine that I have died, left behind a daughter, and entrusted her to you. Won't it become a little easier to deal with her that way?
That's actually a good analogy. It's unlike you.
Do not jest. That is my daughter. She is the child I left behind after my death. You are free to press my likeness upon her. You may also let loose your pent-up resentment on her in my place. Making her bear my sins and torturing her as you please might calm your grudge. If that doesn't match your tastes, you can also guide her down the right path, so that she does not end up on the inhumane road that I have tread. She was made to devote herself to you since the moment of her birth. If you wish, you can mold her into any shape you desire. After 1,000 years of miracles, she might even become me.
So I could even strip her naked and drag her around with a chain like you did to me once.
Yes, at this point, even greater humiliation would be possible.
So, she is your double and your daughter.
Yes, she is exactly the same person, the same piece which was created once more by the rule called Beatrice. However, when I'm unable to accept it that way, I can think of her as Beato's daughter, finding a clear guidepost for how to interact with her and smooth the uncertainty in my heart. Finally, I understand how cruel I was to her then. My tears poured to the ground, and when I followed them with my eyes, I noticed that a white business card had fallen to the floor. It was the message card that had adorned these cookies. I rushed her, telling her to clean up and leave right away, which was probably why it had fallen to the floor unnoticed. I picked it up and read the message on it. It was extremely short, pure, and sincere. It's so clear that I should be able to read it. However, it's blurred with tears and I can't see anything.